Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NURUL SYAMIMI Aliya binti AHMAD SUKRI. Me and my group members are from AC2204B are required to present the topic about dividend irrelevancy theory. So, let's start our presentation with the definition of dividend irrelevancy theory. What is dividend irrelevancy theory? The dividend irrelevancy theory was developed by Franco Modigliani and Merton Miller in 1961. Dividend irrelevancy theory holds the belief that dividends don't have any effect on a company's stock price or company's capital structure. It is because the firm may increase earnings through financing good investment projects and therefore increase the value of the firm. In other words, the dividend policy of a company is irrelevant and will have no impact on the value of the firm because investors can create whatever income stream they prefer by using homemade dividends. Since investors also have the option of selling part of their shares if they want, not the cash dividend policy has no effect.
Assalamualaikum, my name is ZAHIN binti NORAZMAN and I will be presenting about the advantages of dividend irrelevancy theory. In dividend irrelevancy theory, they propose that the dividend policy have no effect on the share price of the firm. Thus, these are some of the advantages that would assume in this theory. First, in dividend irrelevancy theory, a perfect capital market exists with the belief that all investors are rational. There are no flotation costs and transaction costs incurred, and no investors can influence the share price of the security with his or her trade. Second, all investors have the same expectations on the future price, profits, and dividends, as the information about the market are available to all investors. They are able to forecast the price with certainty. Next, the firm also have a fixed investment policy. The investment decision do not affected by its dividend decision, and the operating cash flow remain the same no matter which dividend policy was adopted by the firm. And lastly, in this theory, taxes are either not existed or the tax rate applicable to every investors have no difference. Their dividends and capital gains will be taxed at the same rate, and all investors were assumed to be indifferent in receiving their returns in capital and dividend.
Assalamualaikum, my name is AMRINA binti ARMAHADI and I'm going to present about the advantage of this policy. This dividend policy assumes there are perfect capital market. Such perfect market do not exist in the particular world. Not only that, but this theory also assumes there is no tax. The assumption is not realistic, as the tax must be paid when the shares are sold, and there is capital gain. Other than that, the policy also assumes that there are no flotation costs and no cap adequate in raising a new equity capital. In the particular world, flotation costs must be incurred and legal formalities must be complete. Then, issue can be floated in the market. Apart from that, this policy also indicates that sale of share sell at the price which is lower than current market price. This means that the firm have to sell more share if it does not want to give a dividend. In irrelevance of dividend policy, if company have cash, they choose not to pay a dividend. It is because by following dividend irrelevance, they feel they have a better use of their money. By doing this, it will lead company to take a debt in the form of issues from the investor or borrowing from bank credit facility to make their cash dividend payment. This will be result in significant amount of debt on its balance sheet. On top of that, dividends are cost to company and do not increase the stock price. It is because dividend does not help or raise company ability to create profit. When the company issue dividend, the company need to give money to shareholder. This money can be used in reinvested and thereby lost some potential in its profitability. Indirectly, the cost happen Aside from that, continuous dividend may low future stock price. Commitments to pay large dividend in the long term may decrease the potential profitability of the company. As company continuously issue large dividends, it indirectly lost funds to create future profit. Over time, the loss of large sum of operational cash can force the company to take a debt or be unable to carry out profitable strategy. This will be result to reduce in confidence of investors to our company and ultimately decrease company profitabilities. That's all for me. Thank you.
My name is Aliya Sofea binti Alias. Next, I would like to present the issues that arise due to dividend irrelevancy theory. The author named Harry D'Angelo and Linda D'Angelo in 2006 has provided a sketching attack towards the Miller and Modigliani propositions. They condemn this theory on their journal, which state that for corporate finance research, a more troubling consequences of the Miller and Modigliani irrelevance theorem is that its central lesson that investment policy alone determines value has both limited our visions about the importance of payout policy and some researchers of searching for frictions that would make payouts policy matter, while it has mattered all along, even in the standard which is frictionless. From their journal, they boldly proclaim that the Miller and Modigliani irrelevance theory as a trivial import. The author's arguments are focused on the proofs of the irrelevance theorem itself, specifically targeting a free cash flows. They maintain that Miller's and Modigliani pays out policy irrelevance require firms to pay out 100% of the free cash flow each period. This criticism stems from these equations that have been assumed by Miller and Modigliani theory. However, the authors rearranged the previous equations to define the dividend level. This equation specifies that with a fixed investment policy, dividends are equal to free cash flow plus stock issuances. According to Harry D'Angelo and Linda D'Angelo on their journal in 2006, the implicit yet dubious assumption is therefore the full payout of free cash flows, rendering the Miller and Modigliani proofs a meaningless tautology. They re-establish dividend policy relevance by maintaining that once managers are allowed to retain a portion of earnings, they can also choose to invest in a negative net present value projects. In a related paper, Harry D'Angelo and Linda D'Angelo in 2007 maintained that pedagogy should focus on their optimal full payout strategy, which is on a proper investment policy as opposed to dividend irrelevance. They lament the fact that so much research has been devoted to signaling imperfections when blacks in 1976 dividend puzzle is easily solved. The optimal corporate policy decision is to simply deliver the full present value of free cash flow to investor. When the scales of investment is allowed to change, which relax the Miller and Modigliani in 1961 assumptions and is more general than the Harry D'Angelo and Linda D'Angelo in 2006 framework, firms without profitable investment opportunity must distribute all the free cash flow to make the cost of internal and external equity equal. If firms do not distribute all the free cash flow, then internal equity is cheaper than external equity. An unresolved issue is what happens when investment policy is optimal, indicating that there are no free cash flow but that firms want to expand. In these situations, Miller and Modigliani in 1961 irrelevance can be established only if firms are indifferent between a zero dividends or internal financing policy and a non-zero dividend or external financing policy. This issue is not well analyzed or understood. Harry D'Angelo and Linda D'Angelo in 2006 findings are controversial. They even directly provide rejoinders to criticism raised by readers of previous working drafts. Berlingeri in 2006 agrees on the inadequacy of the Miller and Modigliani dividend relevance proof but refutes D'Angelo and D'Angelo's conclusions using an arbitrage-based argument. Even after this analysis, debate will probably continue in this area.
The next issue that arises because of dividend irrelevancy theory is signaling. The declaration of a dividend is the publication of publicly available information. According to the semi-strong version of the efficient market hypothesis, the stock price will respond to this information. The issue is what signal does a change in dividend send out, and how should share price react as a result? Is a dividend cut, for example, a sign that the company is saving money in anticipation of tough times or that it sees a wonderful investment opportunity? There will almost surely be information asymmetry because the directors will almost certainly have access to information that is not publicly available. Sudden changes in dividend policy are almost always unsettling to shareholders. The last issue is a lack of trust. There is a lack of confidence in the directors' forecast or the arguments for dividend reductions. This is a continuation of the previous point. Although the board of directors may have been extremely open about the dividend policy, the stock price will be harmed if investors do not share the board's confidence about the company's future performance.